Hey there, traders. Welcome back for episode 49 from the StockBandit.tv. I'm always glad that you've made it. I hope that your extended weekend has been a great one. So last week we only had a 4-day trading week. We started off with a couple of downside days on Monday and Tuesday, and then we turned higher on Thursday a little bit. And then the real fireworks came on Friday with a nice gap up opening to start the day, and then of course continued strength throughout the session with the major averages hitting new recovery highs since turning the corner back in March. And so we've come a long way up, but we've seen a number of pullback attempts occur ever since this market has turned the corner, and yet the longest streak of consecutive down days that we've seen during that entire stretch has been 2 at a time. And so we saw that on Monday and Tuesday last week, but then of course strength returned quickly. The buyers stepped in to provide some support. On the NASDAQ, we saw this gap right here essentially get filled with that minor pullback, and then more buying resumed. And so it is a market that's showing a lot of eagerness on the part of buyers. Anytime you get a persistent move up like this and nothing more than a 2-day dip before more buying sets in, you know that the buyers are eager out there, and you know that the shorts are on the run, because there seriously is more than just some accumulation taking place in this market. There are plenty of bears who are not trusting this strong initial upside move, and they keep trying to short this market only to see it run higher in their face. Now, interestingly, after seeing a move of this magnitude, we're now coming up to some important levels in the major averages that may actually pose some resistance. So let's start off talking about those. For the NASDAQ, of course, that's right up here at the January high, which was at 1665. Now, Friday we closed at 1652. We're now just 14 points away from that, and that's of course less than 1%. So it should be very interesting these next couple of days to see how this market responds, because last week's minor dip and then the strong return to the upside with improved volume across the board was impressive, but now we're coming into some important levels where we may see some profit taking kick in. Let's see what happens. The S&P 500, same kind of story here. Minor pullback here was met with more buying. Great volume on Friday. It was the best volume that we saw all week. And now we're coming up. We're within 20 points of this 875 zone. So that's going to be very interesting to see if this index does make a run at that level, if it's able to push through and stay through, or if instead as that level is approached, if we do see some profit taking kick in, because again, we've come a long way from those March lows, and that was just a few short weeks ago. Now, finally, taking a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. This is, of course, only 30 stocks, and yet it is the senior average of the bunch. And so I do pay attention to it, but I do place the least amount of weight on it because, again, only 30 stocks. It can be easily impacted by just 1 or 2 names. But here's what I'm watching here for the Dow. Obviously, big move off the March low. Minor pullback here, met with more buying. We closed above 8,000 for the first time on Friday since, obviously, this stretch back here in February. So that is encouraging. We saw the first above average volume day on the Dow. This 21-day moving average of volume was exceeded for the first time since right there on that day, March 23rd, another day where we saw good strength. But the Dow now making a new recovery high like the other averages is getting a little bit closer here to an important zone, which is former support back here during December of last year, and then once it was cracked on the downside, that acted as some resistance for this index to get back over and above it. It really was unable to stay back above it. It peeked its head above it once right there, but again, another attempt right there failed, and that led to some serious downside. So if the Dow does approach this 83.50 zone, then should be very interesting to see if more profit-taking returns or if the buyers just keep pushing on through the way that they have in recent weeks. So that's going to do it for tonight's video. Thank you as always for joining me. I will be back soon with more videos, but in the meantime, trade like a bandit.